this show, you'll find inspiration, motivation, and advice from experts, as well as valuable tips on how to get started or improve your business. Let's dive into how you can begin and grow your wisdom business. Inspiring others looks different for everyone. How will you inspire? Welcome to the Wise Dome podcast, and today we're chatting with Niti Nadarajah. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, we know each other through an awesome little network called One Roof, don't we? We've seen each other a few times there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've just had to learn a lot more about you. So do share with us and our audience, what it is that you do and how you got into the field of coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do quite a few things, which often confounds people. But my primary focus is coaching, and I work primarily with women who are feeling disillusioned in their careers. I think, it's kind of it's almost like an endemic issue that we face, I think, in the world of work, where we've sort of started to believe that you don't need to be happy in your work and that you can just treat work as a job and it's a 9 to 5, it's a means to an end, etc. And so a lot of us do go through, life in careers which don't satisfy us, don't fulfill us. And my aim is to really help people who are feeling like that, but sort of questioning what possibly they might be able to do and not sure of how they get off this treadmill. Yeah. Really helping those women to find that thing that does light them up by really exploring from an internal perspective what it is that they want, desire, are passionate about, whilst also honouring needs like financial security, stability, etc., which are very important. And, we don't want to ignore those in the quest for passion and purpose. Yeah. But equally just helping people to find that within themselves, because it's not something we often reflect on enough, I think. So that's my coaching. I also do just some diversity, equity, inclusion consulting work, primarily with the legal profession, because that is the profession that I've been in for a long period of time. I was a lawyer, or am a lawyer, and I have been for about 20 years. And so wanting to really give back to that area, to that profession, and to the people who are coming up through that profession, to create real, meaningful, sustainable change at a systemic level rather than cosmetic changes where diversity, equity, inclusion is concerned, which is often a problem in that space. Yeah. And why did you get into this area? What was the change? Where was that moment of clarity? Yeah, that's the word. So very much like my coaching, I sort of went through that journey myself, but very organically. So I had always felt a little bit disillusioned in my career. I'd enjoyed law and I was good at it. Yeah. But there was something about it that just didn't quite fulfill me, and I couldn't quite identify what that something was. Mm-hmm. And it was actually during the pandemic that I started to write a lot on LinkedIn about the things that I was really passionate about and really cared about. And it started off with simply being in a pandemic with 2 kids. One was a baby, one was 6 years old, doing remote learning, returning to work after parental leave in March of 2020, just as lockdowns were kicking off. And being quite senior in my organization. And so with all of that as a backdrop and having not really spent too much time connecting with people from work over that period, like a little bit, but not very much, I felt quite disconnected from my work colleagues and from people in general. Yeah. And so it became my way of connecting with people. And so I'd share my personal stories of what was going on for me and what life was like in this new world of returning to work, senior female, 2 kids, baby, etc. Yeah. And as I started to share more, people started to respond to me, and they started to reach out and say things like, thank you so much for sharing what you shared today. I've been feeling really alone in the way I've been feeling. Yeah. And I feel better having read what you wrote today. And as I started to get these messages, I started to realize that that's something that had always been missing in my career was starting to fill up. And And I was like, this is really awesome stuff. Like, this is really lighting me up from the inside. It's making me feel really good about me and the fact that I'm helping other people in this way. And so I just kept leaning into it more. So, like when you come across something and you're like, wow, this is fun, you just want to do more and more and more.
Yeah.
And so I just kept doing more and more and more of it and going, wow, this is even better. And this is really cool now, because now I'm really getting this sense of joy from all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that then started translating into doing things offline as well, like volunteering, mentoring, et cetera. And so as I sort of leaned into that space more, I started thinking about, well, do I need to be a lawyer forever?
Yeah.
Do I need to retire as a general counsel of a company, probably with a very successful career, but does that need to be my story, or could I rewrite my story at this point in time? And so I started to explore what that could look like. And it's really challenging at first when you're in that space and you're like, but this is all I've ever done. I don't know anything else.
This is what I know.
Who can I be outside of being a lawyer, right? And but I realized that people and people-related issues, people development, helping people grow, advising people, helping people was kind of the area that really excited me, even in my work. And so coaching seemed to fit with that quite naturally, as did the diversity related work. And so I thought, you know what? Give it a go. What do you have to lose? Exactly. Worst comes to worst, it doesn't work. But hey, you will have gained a whole lot of new skills. You will have tried your hand at entrepreneurship, which is never a bad thing in the world of corporate. So, all these things are only going to stand you in good stead. Give it a go. And I've not looked back since. It's been amazing.
I love it. And, the emphasis there, I really think, touching on what you said, was just storytelling. It's amazing how storytelling, just sharing an idea, sharing a thought, sharing a feeling, can really, activate just something that can happen around you, other people or yourself, and so forth. I think that's absolutely awesome. I'd love to ask, though, why on LinkedIn? Why did you decide to share it on LinkedIn, like not Facebook, Instagram? Why on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so it's a good question. No one's ever actually asked me that question before, and I'm having to think about it now as we talk. But I think, to be honest, Instagram always felt a little bit less familiar to me. Right? Yeah. It's not a platform I used to spend much time on. LinkedIn, I still used to spend a little bit of time on, and it just felt easier to use words. If that makes sense, right? So with Facebook, it felt very much like a personal platform, like a platform where I would go to connect in with friends and share photos of my kids with people that I know, versus sharing stories about what was happening with me necessarily. And so, there was something about LinkedIn that just felt safe and easy for me. It felt like exactly. And so I had already previously written a few things every now and then on it. And it had felt good writing on that platform in that way. And so this kind of just became, I guess, a continuation of that, but at a much larger scale than I had done before, and with more continuity than I had done before that. Essentially.
That's really interesting, because it's true. Like, we all have our place like to venture on. Like sometimes I go onto Instagram just to look at stuff. I don't really interact at all. And Facebook, it's the same thing. Like I perceive Facebook as that's sort of a personal place, but for what I do, I need to be on Facebook, because that's obviously where the market is. So that's going to lead me to the next question. When you were going into that field of coaching and said to yourself, all right, I'm going to give this a try. You were on LinkedIn already. You were getting that response and understanding, okay, there's obviously a need out there. People need to sort of talk things through and so forth. They need coaches in this particular field, anyway, this area. Did you go into the mindset of, okay, where else can I find people? Or did you just stay on LinkedIn and build your coaching sort of presence on there?
I did start looking elsewhere as well. So I at one point went onto TikTok and created a few TikTok videos even.
Right.
It didn't feel quite as natural and quite as straightforward to me. So I've kind of let that be for a little bit now.
Okay.
It is something I want to venture back into because I do think it can be quite a useful place to find people who are looking for coaching.
From a business perspective or?
Yeah, from an individual coaching perspective, I think, in terms of reaching, you know, that woman who's out there going, oh, just feeling a bit blah about my job, that sort of thing, right? And I do have an Instagram account. I do use it, but it's not as active, let's say, as my LinkedIn. I did at one point explore Clubhouse as well when that started off as a new app. But the thing for me was that I don't want to spread myself thin either. So nowadays I have a quite targeted approach to social media. So it's very much LinkedIn is kind of my, you know, my base. I use Facebook more for groups, so for the networks that I'm part of. So, you know, I'm a member of One Roof. I'm a member of Future Women because I've been mentoring with them for quite some time as well.
Awesome.
And I find with groups like that, and even other groups, like, you know, groups for mums or groups for women in general, right? They're good places to just be so that, you know, if someone does need coaching or if someone has an issue which you feel you can help with, I can respond and offer my thoughts and views. And, you know, some of the times that'll lead to something, other times it'll lead to nothing, but that's okay. It's a way for me to also build a name and a reputation and some credibility. Profile, etc. So I use Facebook in that way. Instagram is kind of a supporting platform for me. You know, it's not the main one, but I do use it a little bit because you never know. Who's reading, where they're coming from. But, you know, also like I do so many different things now. Like I volunteer with Pink Elephants, which is in the pregnancy loss space. I mentor obviously with Future Women, as I said. I'm part of another organization called Human Leaders, which, you know, has various members, a membership-based organization. So, you know, using all these different things, it's kind of, it's great because you're part of different communities. And for me, that's the thing. It's how many different communities can I be a part of? And how can I network with people, both online and offline? So attending networking events is equally as important to me as is the online space. And you just don't know. Like, you know, sometimes people come to me for coaching and I'm like, I don't even know where you came from.
But you know what? Coaching, it's a very word of mouth. Like, it's a warm intro. Like, as a coach, you can't just start coaching someone as a cold intro. Like, sometimes it's, you know, and like you said, networking is really important when it does come to coaching, because I think, you know, you meet people, you might not necessarily be coaching the person you meet, but the person you meet gets a feel for you and says, well, actually, I think I know someone you could possibly coach. So that becomes a huge thing. And I really do believe, when it comes to coaching, it's all about the warm intros. It's very hard to sort of just put yourself out there on an internet and go, oh, there goes my webpage, and people will find you and go, oh, they've got to know you and got to click and obviously and all that sort of stuff. But what's the biggest challenge that you may have come across through this process?
Yeah, look, there have been a few. Like, it's been a learning curve for sure going into the world of business, from being a full-time employee, right? It's very challenging. But some of the challenges I think I faced along the way were that initially I had a different niche. I'd started out with something else as my, you know, this was going to be my target client. And I quickly realized once I'd launched with that it wasn't working, and started thinking about, well, what is it that's not working about this? And I realized that the client I'd had in mind probably had a scarcity mindset around money, around time, around the actual need for coaching itself. Like, probably they weren't at a place where they wanted or needed coaching, or were even thinking about it.
Especially if they're thinking scarcity of money.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so that was a really interesting process for me, just in terms of going, okay, that's really what I wanted to do, but maybe that's not the right thing for me to be doing, and maybe there's a different way to do that. And now, actually, interestingly, I do still operate within that niche as well, but I do it through another organization where they're working with employers. And so when they're working with employers, it's easier because you overcome the scarcity issues that
They're
the
not having to
employee
worry
might
about
be.
that. Yeah,
Exactly. And so that was a really big challenge for me. The other things were really getting used to the selling process and,
getting over the yuckiness of selling.
Getting over the yuckiness of selling. And it's been an evolution, like I look back at some of my initial calls, which I had with people when I was starting off, and just the discovery calls, introductory calls, right? And being someone who has this need to give and to service other people and to help other people, I was almost doing too much of that at the beginning.
Okay.
Right. And just
overwhelming them.
Overwhelming them, but also just giving them too much in the first intro call. Right. And not really
they didn't need you again.
Enough back. So it solved people's issues really quickly, which is not a bad thing, but also doesn't really serve me very much.
No.
And so that for me was a learning process around actually what is it that I need to be doing in these calls? Like, how do I actually do this? And how can I stand behind things like my price, my value, what I'm offering people, how I can serve people? So gaining the confidence in the area is a big thing. And I think often people don't really talk about that very much, right? Because when you start off as a coach, you've got to be coaching and you've got to present a certain way, and people have to want to buy your services.
It's like stereotype you have to sort of live up to. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like go from nothing to suddenly I'm a brilliant coach, you know. But there's a journey, like there is with anything, of building your own confidence levels in that space. So whilst I started off with an idea that, yes, I can be good at this and I believe I have the skills to do this well, there was a process around building up my confidence and going, do you know what? Actually, I'm good at this and I can do this and I can really help people, and here's how I can help people and how you can help people. And that becomes clearer over time too, right? Some of the things I'm now recognizing about myself and what I'm doing in my coaching is nothing I would have recognized about myself a year ago.
No, exactly. And that's the continuation of building up your skill set, isn't it? It's like, but the how is so important, isn't it? I'd love to ask, when it came to the whole going through, one-on-ones and everything like that, and, your discovery and learning and evolution of how you're sort of sharing and becoming a coach, where are you going to go from here now? So you've obviously learned how you've, been able to share it, but have you discovered any sort of other ways that you might want to branch out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the next thing for me is to really delve into the world of group programs and also online courses. And really look at what that might be. I think now that I have a much clearer idea of how I'm supporting people and where my uniqueness is. Right? Because that's part of the puzzle, right? Initially you might start off going, okay, I'm coaching and it's just quite general in terms of your understanding of your skill set. I've got a much clearer idea of that now. So now I'm really focused on how can I turn what I've built into something that can support people, not en masse, but at a slightly larger scale than I am at the moment. And secondly, what are the other things I can be putting out there that are, potentially workshops or online courses and things that people can access, so that I have a number of different things that I can offer people. So that is very much the focus now. It's to really diversify what my business looks like within the coaching realm. And, so leadership programs and also collaborating with other people is a big part of this.
Collaboration's huge.
It's huge, And, one thing that's really struck me in recent times is that it also doesn't have to be collaboration with people that I don't know or I've just met for the first time. Actually, I've got a lot of people in my own personal life that are brilliant at what they do, and people I've worked with before and so on and so forth who are doing their own thing as well.
Yeah.
How can I collaborate with some of these people? So me and my sister are, for example, working on something together at the moment, which is really cool. She's in the HR freelance space.
Oh,
So there's clearly some
opportunity
overlap
there
and some opportunity with what we do. And, you know, as a lawyer as well as a coach and diversity consultant, and she's got the HR and leadership sort of side of things as well.
Yeah.
There's so many complementary skill sets there.
Exactly.
But, you know, it's really starting to recognize some of those opportunities which are in your own backyard.
Yeah. And I like the complementary skill sets. That's what the collaboration's all about. And, you know, going back literally to the start of your story, which was where you discovered what you were really enjoying and what you love to do, and obviously how you want to, you know, blend that into what it is you're doing now and how you want to expand and everything. Obviously, and this is now stepping into the mindset of we all start a business for a reason, right?
Yep.
And there's, you know, work-life balance, whatever that means these days. I don't think but, you know, to a degree of, you know, we do things because it feeds us. And it also, if it can feed others at the same time, you've hit gold. Like, to me, that's a gold mine. How are you obviously going into that process of going to a broader spectrum of one to many, in a sense? You look at what you're going to deliver, and also self-paced and possibly, you know, evergreen courses, that sort of stuff. Have you sort of got a plan of where the shift's going to be so you get yourself back again, your own personal time?
Yeah, so I have an interesting attitude towards planning nowadays. I always used to be a bit of a planner, being in a legal role. It's comes with the territory.
Yep.
But since COVID and since this new discovery sort of journey that I've been on, I've actually realized that by opening myself up to opportunity and not planning or focusing too heavily on a particular thing and hanging all my hopes on that thing, that I'm actually more open to just changing and being flexible with where I go.
You got fluidity.
And so I've got fluidity. And this is the great thing, I think, about my business model now, is that there is fluidity and there's opportunity for fluidity. Sometimes I'll do freelance legal work, and that's kind of like a base. It's kind of like my foundation, the financial stability, essentially, to allow me to play in this space on the side, which is my coaching and diversity work. And things can flex up and down. And I've got, you know, like I do some work with different organizations, so I can flex that up or flex that down as I need. And, you know, so there's enough give and take in what I'm doing already that I can sort of start working these pieces in and around what's already there to an extent. Now, having said that, you know, I am in my first year, essentially, of starting my business. And so it's busy.
Trial and error. Yeah, there's a trial and error going on.
Exactly. And, you know, it was interesting. I took my daughter to see someone the other day because of some challenges she was having at school. And she said to this person, and this person reiterated to me that she felt that sometimes when mummy's working, that my work is more important than she is, my daughter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it kind of broke my heart. And, you know, it made me really think about how much I'm working versus how present I am as a parent, for example, at home. But the thing is, yes, I could be more present in moments at home. Absolutely. You know, there's always space to grow and learn and to change your own behavior and your own habits. But equally, and this is a bit that I probably need to bring my daughter into the fold with, equally, I'm starting something very new. And starting something very new, or, you know, not starting, but, you know, being in something very new now, building something new, takes time and it takes effort and it takes energy. And so in order for me to have that lifestyle, which I envisage potentially in a few years' time, where things are much more balanced and, you know, there are things that I'm doing that are far more self-sustaining than they are now, I have to invest the time and effort into it now in order to get to that point in the future. And so sometimes it's helping her to understand what that looks like.
Yeah.
whilst also being present as much as possible.
Yeah. And it's not, it doesn't mean your priorities have changed by
No.
She's priority number one, obviously, but I'd love to ask, when it comes to legacy, and I love asking my, guests, what legacy are you looking to leave? I guess this question probably more orientate around what legacy you're looking to leave personally rather than just in your business.
Yeah, so a big part of why I've shifted to what I'm doing now is because I want to create impact in the world. And one of the things that was missing from my career previously was that I didn't feel I was making a personal impact. And so for me, the legacy that I want to leave behind is knowing that I have done my part in helping to create a better tomorrow for my children, a tomorrow where there are more opportunities available to them, no matter their gender, no matter their sexuality, no matter their skin color or disability or whatever it might be, ensuring that I'm doing my bit to help create that tomorrow, because the more we can each do our bit to create that, the more likely we are to actually see it happen.
Yeah.
And for me, that really is my desired legacy. Not making an impact is non-negotiable. It's not a negotiable anymore. It's something I have to do, and it's something I really want to do. And for me, that's the bit around, how will my kids, in the years to come, talk about me and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it. I want them to be proud of what I've put out into the world and what I'm doing to create change. And for me, that is the coaching, it is the diversity work that I'm doing, and it is the advocacy that I do alongside both of those things.
Yeah, yeah. Love it. A lot of things you've actually said in today's episode I really appreciate, and especially the advice hidden in your, not intentionally, but it's, that have come out of what you've mentioned there, and especially the being fluid, being open to, change, plan. One thing I learned years ago was, it's nice to expect things, but don't stick to that. Don't, in cement, because, things change, and especially when you've got young kids, I get it. Things change constantly. You've got to be fluid. You've got to be flexible. So, I think that's a really big point there that you've shared with our listeners today, and I really appreciate your time. Seriously, Niti, you've been absolutely awesome to chat to today. We did touch on that you're looking to sort of expand into one-to-many. Do you want to, let our audience know of any sort of ideas that you have, or invite them to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, connect with me. I am, as we've discussed, very active on LinkedIn. I am also on Instagram under Stories by Niti, which is my hashtag across most things. So, connect with me. The group programs are in the process of being built. So they're in the ideation and development stage at the moment. So it's really a matter of probably, I'd say, a couple of months, maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, before I put something out there and see how that goes. But yeah, if anyone is interested in that, or in individual coaching, or equally if there are corporates listening who are interested in diversity work, by all means reach out and have a chat.
Well, all of Niti's details and everything will be in our podcast summary below. So be sure to click on any of those links, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Thank you so much again, Niti, for your time. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Thanking our sponsors today and every episode that we do go live with, Wisdom and the Wisdom on Wisdom events. Be sure to check out details in our summary below. Wisdom is our learning and content management platform for anyone who's sharing their content online through memberships, courses, challenges, creating a community and engaging with their members. All details, like I said, are below in our summary. Thanks for listening to the Wisdom podcast. If you enjoyed and have been inspired by this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, Do subscribe and please share it with others. Post about us on social media or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, Nikki Kelly, you can follow me on Instagram at Wisedome Podcast, WISEDOME Podcast. I'm Nikki Kelly. Thanks again, and we'll catch up next time.